Back down the floor, Oliver Miller, who scored Toronto's first basket. Stoudemire inside to Miller, watched by Bryant. Reeves gets it up, won't go. Reeves has the rebound.
And look for Toronto. They're planning to attack Bryant Reeves right away. Oliver Miller using his big frame to take up space down low.
Pass by Greg Anthony. Inside, did not go for Anthony Avent.
Avent in the lineup for the Vancouver Grizzlies, replacing Antonio Harvey, who's just been put on the injury reserve with a hip flexor.
Stoudemire and Anthony, the matchup that we'll be watching. Bryant Reeves got a hand on the ball. Anthony bounced pass to Chris King. And that is the first lead that the Vancouver Grizzlies have had in the last 4 games.
And I like what I'm seeing from Big Country, Rod. He's going out aggressively trying to take the ball away from Oliver Miller.
Stoudemire looked inside for Willie Anderson. Oliver Miller takes the shot. Doesn't go. And there's Anthony quickly up court to Blue Edwards. Edwards for 3.
Blue Edwards has been on fire for the Grizzlies. Between him and Greg Anthony, they have been averaging almost 36 points and 10 assists a game over their last 3 games.
7-2 Vancouver. Bryant Reeves watching Stoudemire on the switch. Stoudemire out to Willie Anderson. Baseline jump shot. Got it.
That's Willie's favorite move. You get him on the baseline, one dribble, he'll knock that jumper in.
Grizzlies by 3. King inside strong, and there's Oliver Miller and his big arms pulling down the ball. Anderson 1-on-3, waiting for his teammates. Baseline again for Anderson on the drive.
That's aggressive move by Willie. He's been plagued by injury problems with his ankles. First the left and then the right ankle, but he's really played through it over this West Coast swing.
Blue Edwards, lob pass into Big Country. Blocked, and the goaltend.
Now that's tremendous confidence by Big Country, Rod. In early games when he was coming off the bench, he was hesitating. He didn't know which way to turn. That time, as soon as he got the ball, he just went straight up, and a good look inside by Blue Edwards. You see Big Country spins right to the hoop, and Ed Pickney, good effort, but a little late.
Grizzlies by 3. Anderson watched by Edwards. The jump shot off. Underneath is the strong rebounder, Ed Pickney.
And Ed Pickney going up, and that's what he does best for the Raptors. He's the leading rebounder on the team. And when it comes to rebounding, especially in the offensive glass, that's where Ed Pickney thrives. He has twice as many offensive rebounds as the next highest guy on the Toronto Raptor team. A relentless offensive rebounder.
Pickney with the free throw.
And that foul was given to Big Country as Pickney snuck in to get inside position.
Narrows the lead back to 1 again. 3 minutes gone, opening quarter. Grizzlies, Raptors, all Canadian showdown. There's Big Country again. Big O watching him. Off the back iron. And Alvin Robertson. Pickney. Reeves again with another rebound. Stolen. Stoudemire wide open for Alvin Robertson.
Great hands by Alvin Robertson. You have to be careful anytime around him. Former NBA Defensive Player of the Year. This guy has got great hands, and you have to be careful.
Raptors now by 1. Anthony double teamed by Pickney and Stoudemire. Blue Edwards on the post. Stolen by Alvin Robertson. Back to Robertson.
And again, that's why he's number 3 in the NBA in steals, averaging a little over 2 steals a game. Always aggressive, always looking to make things happen at the defensive end of the court.
12-9 Toronto. Reeves with the high pick.
And there you have it again. Willie Anderson picking up the foul on Big Country, but no hesitation whatsoever by Big Country.
Here's a look at the all-time losing streaks we mentioned in our opening. Miami Heat, the expansion team, with their record of 17, tied by Vancouver. The all-time losing streak over 2 seasons. Cleveland losing 24 in a row. 20 losses in a row by Philadelphia and Dallas.
Rod, it's tough enough to get a win in this league when you're an expansion team, let alone have the pressure of a record on your shoulders. So it's a very difficult situation right now. Vancouver can't be thinking about anything else, just trying to get through each game one at a time and trying to get a win. And if Big Country keeps going aggressive like this, you never know what can happen.
Thursday night, the Grizzlies trailed by 20 in the first quarter, so this has to be certainly uplifting for them. Ed Pinckney fouled underneath.
And again, Ed Pinckney around the basket is very strong. He tries to get the ball and go up very, very powerful. If you look at that foul, was on Anthony Avent, and that's just his first foul. Ed Pinckney at the foul line right now. He's one of those players that understands exactly what he has to do. He never plays outside of the framework of how the offense has been set for him. He knows what he has to do. He rebounds, he goes to the offensive glass, and he takes the open shots when it's there for him.
Bryant Reeves with the rebound, and rebounding, Leo, hasn't exactly gone the way for both of these teams the way they would have liked.
Well, Vancouver especially, they're the worst rebounding team in the NBA, and they really have to straighten that out, because in this league, if you can't get it on the boards, you're not going to get it done. Toronto, on the other hand, has hung in there and done a pretty decent job on the glass. And looks like we're going to get a moving screen on Big Country, and that's his second foul. Not a good sign for the Grizzlies if Big Country picks up a third foul here in the first half. You got to make sure he stays out of foul trouble, since he's just finally getting into the rhythm and getting into his game. Big game against Detroit. The last game, 19 points, a career high, 6 boards. They need him on the floor.
Robertson lets it go. Timeout on the floor. The Raptors with the lead on CTV. It's gone, the first quarter. Brian Winters, Vancouver Grizzlies trailing the Raptors by 5. Brian Winters, talk with us about his team's current losing streak.
It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. As I said, we've had some competitive games where we've had a chance to win, but it didn't happen. And, I'm just doing the best I can with what we have, and I've tried to stay positive with the players. I'm not going to separate myself from them. We're all in this together, and hopefully we will work hard to make it better.
16-11. The Grizzlies trailing the Raptors inbounds. Avent back to Chris King to Anthony.
Right, we heard some key words from Brian Winters. We're all in this together, and they're hanging in there. Talk to the players before the game. They're all saying the same thing. Hey, this is tough, but we're going to work through it.
Lou Edwards was off, but the Grizzlies get a fresh 24. And Eric Mobley is in the game, recently acquired from Milwaukee. Bryant Reeves has sat down with his 2 personal fouls.
Mobley came over in the trade for Benoit Benjamin, along with Eric Murdoch, another point guard for the Grizzlies. One thing I like about Mobley, when he gets in the game, he tries to make things happen by going up strong to the basket. He tries to dunk everything around the hoop and is a very powerful player.
Only his second year in the NBA, Mobley, as Alvin Robertson takes the pass from Stoudemire. Another assist for the assist leader of the Toronto Raptors.
And that was an excellent backdoor by Alvin Robertson. He's always looking to make things happen. And Toronto, when they spread the court, make a lot of plays just like that.
3-point attempt was off. Inside was Chris King. And an offensive foul charged against Mobley.
And they're calling Mobley for coming over the back on that play. But we saw Oliver Miller, who's, again, 8th in the NBA in block shots, sneaking up. He's not a big guy. He's about 6'9", but he's got very long arms. Arms of a 7-footer. He surprises a lot of people when he goes up with block shots. And Byron Scott now into the game for the Grizzlies. Former Los Angeles Laker. Played with the Indiana Pacers last season.
3-time NBA champion. Robertson is Blue Edwards tries to fight through the pick. Pinckney. Anderson beyond the arc. Goes baseline again. and jammed it.
And again, Willie Anderson, everybody's so conscious of his jump shot, they play up on him, which allows him to put the ball on the floor and get penetration.
9-point Raptor lead. And another offensive foul charged against Vancouver.
Anthony Avon picking up the foul. When you're setting a screen in the NBA, or actually anywhere in any league, you have to hold your position. When you're making a block for an opponent to get open, you have to hold your ground and you can't move. That time Avon got caught moving.
Stoudemire looks for the pick and roll with Oliver Miller. Takes the two-pointer and gets it.
Damon Stoudemire playing so well as a rookie, fearless, does not care who he's playing against, and he's had a rough week. You look at some of the guys in the NBA he's played against this past week. Rod Strickland from Portland, Gary Payton from Seattle. He's had his hands full.
Edwards finds Scott on the baseline. Rebound for Pinckney. Stoudemire. Again.
Oh boy, he's warming up. And those are the shots that can make you or they can break you. Damon Stoudemire, when he's on fire, can really light it up. But you have to be careful when nobody's in a rebounding position on some of those shots.
A 14-point rather, Toronto lead. A rookie roundup of how the rookies are doing. You see Damon Stoudemire among the league leaders. Jerry Stackhouse in Philadelphia doing pretty well too. We take a timeout on the floor. Raptors opening it up in Vancouver. Under 5 minutes left in GM Place. The Grizzlies trailing 25-11 to the Toronto Raptors, who are on a 19-2 run.
Well, Brendan Malone before the game said he really wanted to take it right to Vancouver, even though his gut feeling was, tough shot by Avon over Miller. Brendan Malone's gut feeling was that this is going to be a game going right down to the wire, but he didn't want to take any chances and told his team, hey, we have to go out there and not let the crowd get into it, or Vancouver down the stretch.
Stoudemire into the paint, looking for Pinckney. People all around him, and Mobley outlets to Byron Scott. Stripped by Stoudemire with the quick hands underneath, and here is Willie Anderson. Mobley again. Edwards out to Scott for three.
Great rebound by Blue Edwards coming out of nowhere. Now, right now, Vancouver has to be careful. This is a game that's Toronto's rhythm. Toronto wants to get up and down the court, make this as fast a game as possible. Vancouver wants it to be a little slower and a little bit more conservative. And a very difficult pass. Damon Stoudemire rifling it down to Ed Pinckney. And those passes are very difficult to catch.
Raptors have had a problem with turnovers. Second last in the league. Greg Anthony takes a seat. Derek Martin into the game now for the Grizzlies.
Exactly. Toronto's averaging 19 turnovers a game, trailing only Philadelphia in that department.
Mobley tries the baby hook and gets it.
And Mobley powering up over his teammate in Milwaukee, Ed Pinckney.
Lead cut to 8. Martin watching Stoudemire. Back out to Miller, who swings it over for Robertson. Byron Scott.
Excellent fast break. Byron Scott taking it right to the hole. And give some credit to Anthony Avon. He took up some space. He saw Byron Scott was coming down the left lane, and Avon just stopped right in the middle and gave him some room, and Alvin Robertson had no choice but to come from a foul. We see the outlet coming from Martin. And watch Avon. You can see him right at the bottom of the screen. Just took up some space and gave Byron Scott the alley to the bucket.
Byron now trying to convert the three-point play. Shaving the lead to 5. Anderson, shot clock at 9. Watched by Edwards, steal by the Grizzlies. Martin to Scott.
Miller sneaking in with the block shot, but the Grizzlies will get the ball back. But we saw at the other end of the court, Rod, again, an unforced turnover. Good hustle by Blue Edwards, but Willie Anderson careless with the basketball. You have to protect it. You just can't give the ball away like that.
Anthony Avent with the jumper. Alvin Robertson. Watched by Byron Scott. Stoudemire finds Miller. Posting up. Tabak to Willie Anderson. Stoudemire, shot clock at 7. Miller doesn't take it. Here's Tabak, shot clock at 5. Miller for 2 points.
And good defense by the Grizzlies, not allowing any penetration and forcing Oliver Miller to shoot with the clock ticking down.
25-20. Toronto Raptors leading. Derek Martin spins on Stoudemire. Almost.
Nice outlet by Stoudemire. We saw a great outlet by Damon Stoudemire finding Alvin Robertson up court. Almost lost the ball, but still recovered. Now we're also seeing that Oliver Miller is pretty quiet here early in the ball game, not getting a lot of looks inside, and that's credit to the Vancouver's defense. They've pretty much taken him away from the inside and forced him to get his shots from the perimeter, and that's definitely the Vancouver's advantage to keep Oliver Miller away from the basket.
Alvin Robertson, leading scorer in the game so far with 9 points.
And Alvin Robertson is a warrior for Brendan Malone.
So a chance to cut into this lead again. Grizzlies have fought back after a 19-2 run by the Raptors. There's Mobley down low, fakes the shot, and it doesn't go, but he did draw the foul, and it looks like a foul's on Jean Tabak.
And that's what, again, Eric Mobley comes in the game right away. He wants to assert himself down low. He is a force around the basket. When he gets it, he doesn't go up soft. He tries to initiate contact. He's looking to get fouled, and he will dunk it in your face if you're not ready. And Jean Tabak, who has a tendency to get into foul trouble, picked up a foul on that play.
Mobley will shoot 2. He is not a good free throw shooter. .489 his free throw percentage.
It's that power game coming out on the free throw line. And Oliver Miller is going to pick up a foul as Anthony Avent tried to sneak around him on the free throw miss, and we see Oliver Miller not, or I should say, voicing his displeasure, and he has to be careful. He has a temper, and he can get out of control. He has to make sure that he stays into this game mentally.
We saw that temper exhibited in Seattle when he almost hurled a chair a la Bobby Knight when he was ejected.
That's right. That was a big loss for Toronto, having Oliver Miller ejected. He was unavailable to play in the second half because of that. Now A.C. Earl is going to come in and give him a break. A.C. Earl out of the University of Iowa, played for the Boston Celtics. And Vancouver having their trouble from the line. Not a particularly good shooting, foul shooting team, the Grizzlies.
Avent with the free throw. It's a 4-point Toronto lead. Just over a minute left in the opening quarter. Robertson and Scott, the cutter, Tracy Murray in the game.
And Tracy Murray putting quick shot. Jean Tabak picking up his second foul. That's just his third foul. And that play developed, Rod, when you had Tracy Murray coming into the game. Now he's taking a quick shot coming off the screen. He rolled down. He didn't particularly have a good shot, so bring it back out, reset. You don't have to take a shot on the drive. And Blue Edwards finally makes a shot from the free throw line. And one of the reasons Vancouver is not such a particularly good free throw shooting team. They're 27th in the NBA in free throws.
Ed Pinckney back in the game, spelling Jean Tabak. And the Grizzlies have narrowed the lead to 2. 1:04 left in the first period here in GM Place. Pinckney watched by his old teammate in Milwaukee, Mobley. Stoudemire to AC Earl. Earl. Nice touch.
That's AC Earl's favorite spot. He likes to back his way into the middle, and it's kind of a fade away, going away from the basket, but again into the middle all the time.
Raptors break the 12-0 run. 27-23. 37 seconds left. Scott from the baseline. 10-second differential in the shot clock and the game clock. Stoudemire to Tracy Murray. 10 on the shot clock. 20 on the game clock. Stoudemire. And a foul to Derek Martin, it looks like.
One of the things you have to watch out for when you're playing against David Stoudemire is he hangs on to his dribble. He'll penetrate, and you think he's stopped, or you think he's going to stop his dribble, but he continues on, and he'll do that several times. He will definitely make you think that he's picking it up or he's going to stop and shoot, but then he continues on, and that results in penetrations, openings, or fouls by the defense. A lot of pressure on this young man.
16 seconds left. Grizzlies will look for the final shot. Down by 6. 7 seconds. Martin to Avent. Blocked there. Robertson to Tracy Murray with no time left. Damon launches it, but it doesn't matter. It was after the buzzer. Leading scorer, Alvin Robertson. The Toronto Raptors leading the way 29-23. The first ever all-Canadian NBA battle. You're watching the NBA on CTV. There is the leading scorer in the game so far, Alvin Robertson. This is actually the second meeting of these two teams, if you count the exhibition game, which the Raptors won in Winnipeg, the first ever Naismith Cup. The teams were tied at 46 at halftime, and the Raptors took it away. Alvin had a big day that day, but this is the real stuff.
It's very different. In preseason, everybody's trying different things, different lineups. You have new players, guys shuffling in and out, so it's very difficult to gauge anything based on the preseason.
Avent to Blue Edwards. Off the back iron. There's Derek Martin.
And you have to like Derek Martin. When he comes in the game, he tries to make things happen. He takes the ball to the basket. He's not afraid. He's a cocky player. Likes to talk out there. Likes to get into the game a little bit. But that's good. You have to have some guy coming in the bench, coming off the bench, creating those types of things.
Tracy Murray launched the three, but it was off the rim. And here is Derek Martin once again.
Murray and Martin were teammates at UCLA.
Back to Blue Edwards, swinging it over to Byron Scott. Fake the shot. Here's Mobley working on Pinckney. Scott, shot clock at 7. Again, the shot is off for the Grizzlies, and the Raptors will try to open up their lead again. Stoudemire. Tracy Murray working on Scott. Pinckney down low. Doesn't go off the glass, but then he got it on the follow-up.
Great follow-up, great reaction. Ed Pinckney, a lot of guys can get up, but how many guys can get up that second and third time? He's very quick off his feet.
5 points for Ed Pinckney. Byron Scott 1 for 7 from the field right now.
An illegal defense, our first call in the game.
Illegal defense. If you're watching and you haven't heard of that before, you can't play a zone or anything even reasonably resembling a zone, and the referees will call it. Second time, the technical foul requires you to shoot.
So in the NBA, you have to cover a man, not an area, and you have to keep a certain distance from your man, which we'll get into as the game goes on.
Blue Edwards lobs to Ashraf Amaya in the game now. Robertson with a good play, and it will still be Raptors ball.
Amaya did a super job in the preseason, coming in as a free agent. Played in Greece last year. Surprised everybody with his play and hustle.
Steal by Blue Edwards, splits the middle, and has an easy layup.
What a read by Blue Edwards. He saw that pass coming all the way and just knifed through the key to get it.
9 points for Blue Edwards. 31-27 Toronto.
Blue Edwards is one of those guys, again, that you know what you get every night. It may not be the points, but he'll give you the hard work and 100% hustle every time he steps on the court.
Stoudemire trying to lob into Pinckney. Does. Amaya working on him. Lots of body underneath. And we have a foul.
And the foul is going to, looks like it's going to go against Blue Edwards. And he came in to try to help out his teammates. That's his second foul. A lot of times when you come in, he came in with a swiping motion from behind, and even if it's not a foul, to the officials, it looks like a foul. Especially when you're coming from behind, you have to be careful on those plays.
Ed Pinckney at the line again. Former outstanding player in the NCAA championship with Villanova.
Oh, that was a great championship game when they surprised everybody and beat Georgetown in the final against Pat Ewing.
Mobley brings it down. Grizzlies trailing by 5. 9.5 minutes left in the first half in GM Place.
And that's the third time in the ball game we've seen this play. This time Amaya picks up the call, his first personal. They're trying to free up Byron Scott on the screen, and the screen keeps moving, not holding its ground. It's almost like the officials are looking for it now at this point.
These officials will be going back to their regular jobs very shortly. The regular officials coming back to work on Tuesday. AC Earl spins and misses. Mobley again strong on the boards. Good work by Eric Mobley as Martin brings it back down, pulls up, and didn't go.
A quick shot for Martin. You want to try to get into your offense, free somebody up, not shoot right away.
Tracy Murray for 3.
Now there's a good dish to Murray on the wing, and here's a guy who can really light it up. Came in the first quarter against Seattle, lit it up against Portland, career high 28 points against Portland.
Scott off balance. Martin 6 on the shot, batted away by AC Earl, and here's Robertson again. Tracy Murray.
And nice drop off by Robertson. Blue Edwards was trying to cut the ball off, and Robertson just waited for the trailing Murray.
10-point Raptor lead. Brian Winters wants a timeout. An opportune time. Tracy Murray with 5 straight points, including one with some authority. 37-27 Toronto leading in Vancouver. In Vancouver, Brian Winters a little concerned right now, Leo.
Obviously, Brian Winters wants to make sure that Toronto doesn't run away with this game early. Toronto can explode, and one of the things I'm sure Brendan Malone, as we get a look at Brendan, is concerned about is Toronto sometimes forgets what gets them the lead and why they play well. So he's concerned that his team maintains, and Brian Winters wants to make sure that his team gets into the game.
Byron Scott finds Blue Edwards.
And Ed Pinckney battling for the basketball. And that's what we notice. Again, Ed Pinckney consistently battling for the basketball. He never gives up. Whenever there's an opportunity for a rebound, you will see Ed Pinckney around the basket. He doesn't always get it, but he'll get a hand on the ball. And Willie Anderson right now running the point as Damon Stoudemire is out of the game. And again, Ed Pinckney underneath the basket, and he powers up for the easy 2. And a drive by Derek Martin into the middle, getting his shot blocked, but a foul will be called on Tracy Murray, who tried to make the block, and we see Derek Martin spinning into the hoop. And I'll tell you what, that was a pretty good looking block up top, but Tracy Murray caught Martin with the body. But I love that drive by Martin. He's an aggressive player that looks to create, looks to make things happen every time he steps onto the court.
It's the biggest lead of the ball game. 12 points for the Raptors. Now 11. Derek Martin had quite a running battle, or verbal battle anyways, with Michael Jordan when his airness made quite an entrance into Vancouver just over a week ago.
It was quite a game. Vancouver was right in the game with Chicago, and Derek Martin was feeling his oats, and he's talking a little bit. Michael Jordan, who only had 12 points, came into the game and absolutely lit up the stadium. And then he made a point of talking to Derek Martin, let him know, hey, rookie. Even though he's not a rookie, just hey, don't mess around, kid.
A.C. Earl with the hook.
And again, A.C. Earl showing his versatility. Jump hook, we see him spin into the middle early.
Martin again will look low, and then he decides to take it himself. Back out to Blue Edwards. And Blue is off again. Fresh 24 as the Grizzlies get it back. Reeves powers in.
Nice move, Ryan Reeves. He did not give A.C. Earl a chance to jump up and block the shot. Took the ball right into Earl's chest, created room, initiated contact, and Earl had nothing to do but watch him score.
6 points for Big Country, 41-31 Raptors. A.C. Earl working on Reeves. The hook shot again from Earl.
And good defense by Reeves at the other end of the court.
Byron Scott, the three-pointers off.
See, now that's a difficult situation for Amaya. Amaya hustles in to get the rebound. But Byron Scott puts him in a difficult situation by putting up the shot quickly. As a result, Amaya gets called for pushing on the rebound. That was definitely a shot that was too quick for Byron Scott.
Ashraf Amaya with the offensive foul, and Byron Scott 1 for 9 from the field as Blue Edwards takes a rest.
And again, you mentioned if you're 1 from 9 from the field, you're not going to come down the court and take a quick shot. When you're feeling you're knocked in 2 or 3 jump shots, then you might come down and take a quick shot, as we saw Damon do earlier in the ball game for Toronto. But when you're struggling, you haven't hit your shots, you don't want to come down there, and all it does is put your teammates in an awkward situation. And like we said, Amaya picks up a personal foul out of it.
This has been stereotypical of both of these teams, though. They press too much a lot of times. The Raptors have done it in some of their games. The Grizzlies have done it during this streak. And sometimes when you are losing, even though you can gain confidence by those little runs you take, if you have that pressure, it makes it very difficult.
Well, you know, also in their defense for both teams, they're expansion teams. They're still learning each other. They're finding out who can do what. It's not a process that's going to happen over a few games, over 20 games. It happens over the course of the season.
Tracy Murray with a running jump shot. And again, the Grizzlies come back. Anthony to King. Nice layup off.
And Amaya again hustling for the basketball, but that's an offensive goaltending. Chris King, that shot was bouncing around on the rim, and you're not allowed to touch it. Exactly. It may have had a chance to go in. Amaya aggressively going after it, but you're not allowed to touch the ball when it's in the cylinder.
Take another look. Anthony.
And King, who's a slasher, he loves to go to the basket, puts the ball up, and you'll watch Amaya come into the picture, and right there, the ball's still touching the rim, and you're not allowed to do that. International basketball, you can do that, but not in the NBA.
That ball was going in. 10 points. Raptors in front. Great feed by David Stoudemire, finding Willie Anderson.
And Stoudemire doing what he does best, dishing the basketball. It's his 8th assist here in the second quarter, averaging almost at a season average.
Brian Reeves working.
What a difference some time will make. Brian Reeves relaxed, playing much more relaxed, looking for scoring opportunities, no hesitation. A different player than we saw early on in the season.
Under 5 minutes in the first half. Anderson baseline, back out to Tracy Murray for 3. No, and there is Brian Reeves, and quickly the Grizzlies bring it back up the court. Anthony blocked by Pinckney. Grizzlies still have it, and the Raptors take it away. Here's Stoudemire.
And good outlet. One of the things that surprises you about the Raptors, the fact that they're 4th in the league in blocked shots at almost 6 a game. Since they don't have a dominating big man, you wouldn't expect that.
Scott faked the shot, takes it to the hoop, and got it.
Good drive, Byron. When you're not hitting your jump shot, look for something else. Get into the flow of the game by trying to do something else. Passing, rebounding, or taking the ball to the basket like you just did.
45-35, Toronto. Murray drives. Brian Reeves comes up with it. King will take it strong.
Chris King at his best down the lane, going up with a slam dunk. When Chris King comes in the game, things happen. He makes things happen with his aggressive play down the lanes.
Brendan Malone takes a timeout. Damon Stoudemire with the no-look feed to Willie Anderson, and at the other end, Chris King puts it down. The Grizzlies down by 8. You're watching the NBA on CTV.
Well, the Foot Locker contest, you win $1 million if you get a chance to shoot the free shot at the All-Star game in San Antonio in mid-February. You got a January 17 deadline. Gerald Wilkins' name is on the ballot, but I think, Gerald, after the surgery, you'd settle for just playing at all.
I'll just settle for just getting out there, just getting one shot. It'll last me all year if I just got one.
The surgery went well. You're due back when?
I'm due back in within 3 to 4 weeks. Right now, I'm a little ahead of schedule, so it can be anywhere from 2 to 3. So I'm just looking forward to just getting back out there for the most part.
Willie Anderson misses off the front rim. Jean Tabak brings it out. Damon Stoudemire. Gerald Wilkins, he could add another 15, 16 points to the Grizzlies lineup.
Exactly, a career 14-point scorer. Gerald Wilkins will do a lot of different things. Aggressive offensive player. Definitely a big asset for the Grizzlies if they can get him back.
King again. Byron Scott was right there for the rebound.
Toronto not getting back that time. Grizzlies doing a great job of getting out on the break. And again, Chris King, whenever there's an opportunity, you see him start trucking down the wings. He loves to get out on the break.
Under 3 minutes left in the opening half. It was interesting, Leo, we talked with Brendan Malone last night after he lost his luggage coming from LA yesterday. It was a long day for the Raptors on their charter, but Brendan Malone predicted that this game would be a game of runs, and whoever had the most runs would win, and so far it's been true to form.
Exactly. He wanted to make sure that Toronto had the best run and the longest run, because he thought his gut feeling was this game was going to go right down to the wire.
Robertson with a fake pass found Miller, but it looked like it was batted away. Stoudemire, shot clock at 4.
Oh, what a tough shot. Stoudemire in the middle, clock coming down. But that's what this guy, again, he's fearless. He loves to play, loves the pressure, and he's a very fierce competitor.
Back to 8 for the Dinosaurs. Ryan Reeves missed the hook shot.
Good block by Miller. Miller got a piece of that.
Anderson. Anthony. Ball bouncing all over the place, and the referee says it will be Vancouver ball.
Vancouver has 26 rebounds this half, more than the entire game against Detroit the other night.
But
so you know this game means a little bit something extra here.
But they're still trailing.
They're still trailing.
Because
correct.
They're turning the ball over too much.
Nice pass, Greg Anthony. The back door to Lou Edwards. I'll tell you, Greg Anthony is having an absolutely outstanding season. Every time I watch him play, he just surprises me more and more. With the more minutes he's gotten and the confidence he's building up, he's just made big play after big play. And he's coming off a career high against Detroit as well the other night, 31 points.
Shot clock at 4. Robertson has to get it off. 2.
Oh, Ed Pickney following up a Robertson miss, and how's that for transition? Alvin Robertson, Mr. Defense. There's very few guys in this league that I have found that react as quickly from offense to defense as Alvin Robertson does. But Ed Pickney may have gotten away with an offensive goaltend himself on the previous bucket.
Stoudemire with the J. 2 points there for Stoudemire. Big first half.
Damon shooting the ball very well on the season. He has been struggling, only shooting 38% from the field, but he's playing very well, and that's his 13th point on the game.
50 seconds left in the opening half. Reeves watched by Big O. Oliver with the foul.
Canadian Tire has great prices on everything you need. Plus, earn Canadian Tire money with every cash purchase of merchandise. Great prices made better at Canadian Tire.
Oliver Miller with the hand-checking foul, and you can't do that in the NBA,
That's
Leo.
right.
You have to use your forearm.
You have to use your forearms, You have to make sure that if you put your open hand on the back of the offensive player, the referees will make that call. It doesn't look like it's much of a foul, but they will make that call, so the players understand that going in.
Reeves down low, draws a crowd. Doesn't fall, but he does draw a foul. It looks like, again, it goes the other way, however. It's an offensive foul against the Grizzlies. We've seen a lot of that in this opening half.
Chris King going over the back for the offensive foul.
Coming up at halftime, we'll have features on Greg Anthony and Alvin Robertson. As well, we'll have all of the analysis, and Leo Routens will have to get his telestrator working, I think.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go, Rod. And Greg Anthony. Just 2 points so far for the Grizzlies.
8 seconds left on the shot.
And John Tabak getting called for using the left arm as he's going up to the basket. That's his third foul. So now both Oliver Miller and John Tabak, the two big men for Toronto, are with their third foul. And that's all the more weight that puts on John Sally's absence, who was out with a corneal abrasion. Byron Scott back into the game.
Only 15.5 seconds. You would think you might see Byron Scott in the game as the Grizzlies work for the last shot, trailing by 10. Anthony, left side, blocked, but the Grizzlies will hang on.
Pickney has snuck up on Greg Anthony several times a ball game, looking for his penetration. That's his second block.
20-second timeout called by the Grizzlies. Good timeout. There's only 2.8 seconds. You have to get a basket before halftime.
Obviously, you would like to try to free up Byron Scott for a jump shot, or maybe get Greg Anthony if he can get the ball in his hands.
Here's a look at the expansion team records over the years, and Orlando and Charlotte, Minnesota and Dallas and Miami can look to Toronto and Vancouver. The Grizzlies record 2-17, but their record could be similar to the Raptors because they had a lot of close games during this streak of 17 losses that they could have and maybe should have won.
They really did. You look at when they played the New York Knicks, that game came right down to the end. Anthony Hardaway from the Orlando Magic hit a tough game-winning jumper to beat them. So you look at games like that, obviously the record could be very different. And the Raptors themselves could have a few extra wins with some of the games they have. A buzzer beater against the Houston Rockets.
2.8 seconds left. Anthony finds Scott, who'll have to let it fly. He does, but it doesn't drop, and that sort of tells the story for the Grizzlies in the first half. Down by 10, Damon Stoudemire leading the way with 13 points. Vancouver Grizzlies have trailed at the half 11 of their last 12 games. They'll have to get it going in quarters 3 and 4. We'll be back to GM Place after this. Watch for Greg Anthony now. Only 2 points in the first half for the Grizzlies. He only had 5 Thursday night and then opened it up for 19 points against Detroit.
Actually, Greg Anthony exploded, Rod, for 22 points it was in the third quarter.
And there's Oliver Miller starting it off, and Greg Anthony the other night with 31, a career high. Is he still feeling the effects, do you think, of that Achilles aggravation?
Oh, absolutely. Those are the type of things that can really hamper you. It's just a constant pain. It never goes away, and you try to get it loose, you just can't get loose. And that's a strong move by Big Country. Now here's a guy, 10 points, 6 rebounds, and that's above his average already. He's well above his season average. Now in the last 5 games, he's been averaging 12 points and 6 rebounds a game. But again, that's more minutes, and the more minutes you get, the more comfortable you get, and he's really doing a good job. Again, what I really am impressed about Bryant Reeves right now is there's no hesitation. He is an entirely different player. His confidence level is up, and he's looking to be aggressive offensively. The key is staying in the game and not committing personal fouls.
It's a 9-point Toronto lead early in the second half. Stoudemire watched closely by Anthony. Bounce pass to Robertson. Shot clock is at 7. Robertson with Edwards on him.
And Robertson can light it up. He's a very funny guy in terms of scoring. Sometimes he puts up big numbers. Sometimes he's very quiet. But one thing you know you're going to get from him are the steals. But he's hot tonight with 12 points so far.
Anthony inside couldn't make the basket count. Here's Robertson to Stoudemire and a whistle. And an offensive foul. Alvin Robertson on the drive, drawing some people around him and then committing the foul himself.
Alvin Robertson always aggressive.
55-44. Toronto. Reeves, watched by Pinckney, off of the foot of Edwards. Here's Robertson again.
Oh, that looked like it was goaltending, and the official is going to give Robertson the basket. When that ball touches the backboard, you are not allowed to touch it, and that's why it's always good to use the backboard when you're a player. Because once you get it to the glass, it's safe, and if a defensive player touches it, you're going to get the hoop.
Robertson, like his fellow guard Damon Stoudemire, both players with 13 points each, so 26 points combined from the backcourt of the Raptors.
And we saw again in that last possession, Blue Edwards turned the ball over. Vancouver uncharacteristically turning the ball over quite a bit.
5 seconds on the shot clock. They'll have to get it off. Chris King for three. Stoudemire pulls up.
Greg Anthony did a good job of hustling back, and it looked like he got a piece of the ball on Stoudemire's shot.
Anthony Avent, will it go? It doesn't. Miller grabs it, and there's Pinckney underneath. He has the rebound, and here's Stoudemire, who will slow it down.
Good decision by Damon. You're going up and down a couple of trips, not getting much out of it. Settle down, try to get a good shot.
Willie Anderson, watched by King, and a foul.
And Blue Edwards has his hands full right now. Alvin Robertson cutting to the basket. We've seen him score on this play in the first half, but Alvin will always keep moving without the basketball, coming from high to low, penetrating to the bucket, and Toronto players are always looking for Alvin when he cuts back door.
First team foul, not a shooting situation. Robertson, the cutter. Stoudemire hangs on to it to Pinckney, who has 12 rebounds in the game. Anderson, the jumper, doesn't go, and underneath was Stoudemire, who had the tip in, but it didn't go either. And here's Anthony the other way. King underneath, blocked by Oliver Miller, and he has another rebound.
And again, we're getting up and down the court without getting any baskets. Toronto has to try to get set. Same thing with Vancouver. Tough break for King. Good penetrating move. Just couldn't find the bottom of the net.
Anderson goes left and drops it.
Well, Willie Anderson surprises you, averaging 15 points a game. Every once in a while, he puts the ball on that floor, goes in, penetrates to the bucket, and he makes some good offensive moves going to the basket.
Biggest lead of the game, 59-44, 15-point lead for the Toronto Raptors. Here's a look at the trade that saw Benoit Benjamin go to Milwaukee and Brian Reeves become the beneficiary.
I really thought that it was a good trade for the Vancouver Grizzlies. Brian Reeves, here's a guy they've committed to, the 6th pick in the draft. You're going after this guy. Give him some minutes. Let him play. Let him get confident. You're going to be with him for a long time. Give him his minutes and let him build up his game. But with the one thing that Benoit Benjamin did allow for was time for Big Country to get in shape. And Benoit had some pretty good games, which also allowed him to become more of a tradable player.
8.5 minutes left, third quarter. Reeves finds King. Bounce pass into Reeves, looks for the cutter, doesn't find him. Edwards swings it out to Anthony. King again, shot clock's at 4.
And tough break. Vancouver's just not being able to make the baskets. The balls are going in and out. And that time, again, a very difficult pass when you're throwing it into the middle. You have a big guy like Oliver Miller running down court. You cannot throw a low bounce pass. And that one, unfortunately, was too low. Hit him right on the foot. But that's a tough pass to catch regardless.
Anthony Avent with Oliver Miller watching him. Bounces into Big Country again, who takes it to the hoop, but it's knocked away, and it will stay in the Grizzlies' possession.
And Big Country arguing that he was fouled. He thought Ed Pinckney came across his arm, and from this angle, it looked like he has a pretty just case, but no call.
Eric Mobley is into the game. Anthony Avent sits down. Blue Edwards quickly. 2-point jump shot for Blue Edwards. It's 59-46.
And Blue Edwards is feeling good right now. 13 for Blue.
Edwards and Robertson, two ferocious competitors. Stoudemire back to Robertson. 5 on the shot clock. Stoudemire. Robertson for 3. Way off. And Bryant Reeves controls for Vancouver. Anthony lets it go.
Yeah, we talked about that. Greg Anthony, 22 points in the third quarter against Detroit the other night. And he's not a guy you can relax on. He's a competitor. He wants to win. He's been playing great basketball for the Grizzlies. And you know he's going to come up firing whether his Achilles is hurting or not.
Anthony watching.
Nice pass. Nice look on the roll by Oliver Miller. Just couldn't hang on to it.
Eric Mobley upset with the call. Timeout on the floor. Raptors by 11 at GM Place. Damon Stoudemire selected after Bryant Reeves in the NBA draft, but last month selected #1 in the balloting for NBA Rookie of the Month for November.
I mean, it's early in the season, and Rookie of the Month in November, it doesn't mean anything. You know, I just been trying to go out and play as hard as I can and do what I can to help the team win. And the award really wasn't, I mean, it wasn't like if I didn't get it, I was going to be mad. You know, I feel that if I go out and do what I can on the court, play as hard as I can, that's the bottom line.
Oliver Miller with both free throws, and it's 61-48. Blue Edwards going for the three-pointer.
Blue Edwards lighting it up. You know, he did not have a reputation as being a great outside shooter, but he's been shooting the ball very well for Vancouver.
His average beyond the arc is better than it is inside the arc.
Exactly. Now he's got 16 in the game. Oh, nice pass by Miller. And that's one of the things that impresses everybody about Oliver Miller's his passing ability. He's got great hands, whether it's getting a rebound, throwing the pass, but he's always looking, sees the court very well, and moves surprisingly quick for a guy his size.
Derek Martin back to Edwards. Inside to Mobley. King. Good movement by the Grizzlies. Martin with the jumper. Doesn't go. Reeves bats it against the backboard, but there is Ed Pinckney again.
And that's his 14th rebound. 6 of those on the offensive end of the court.
Miller again. Back out to Robertson, to Miller, to Robertson. Anderson spinning. And Ed Pinckney attacked underneath.
But I'll tell you what, we just saw some very unselfish basketball. Toronto making that extra pass. Here we see a nice look from Oliver Miller to Willie Anderson, and on this last possession we saw several players that could have taken a shot for Toronto, but they made the one extra pass. As Brendan Malone always says, you can reverse the ball, you get a good shot, you reverse it again, you get an easier shot, reverse it a third time, you're going to get a layup. And that time Ed Pinckney, the recipient. And when Ed gets the ball around the basket, he powers up, always tries to go up strong so he can try to get an opportunity for a three-point play. And Ed closing in on his high for the Raptors, 16 rebounds against the Philadelphia 76ers, so he's only 2 away from that total.
Has a double-double going, 12 points, 14 rebounds. The Raptors with a 14-point third-quarter lead. Reeves tries to take it to the basket, still has it, tries it again, and drops it.
Tremendous second effort by the rookie. Bryant Reeves did not give up on that shot. He came right back and took it at the Raptors.
Stoudemire, the crossover. Miller works on Reeves, but back out to Robertson, who takes it and travels with it.
Good call by the official. Robertson moved his pivot foot, couldn't decide whether to take the shot or to drive, and got caught.
Blue Edwards looks for Reeves, who takes it strong over the outstretched fingertips of Oliver Miller, but the basket doesn't go.
Tough shot. Miller with his long arms was right in Reeves' face on that one.
Stoudemire off the pick.
Oh, great recognition by Stoudemire. He came off that screen, and I'll tell you, he's so quick. He saw the opening, and he was gone. And that's 15 for Stoudemire. See, he sees that opening. As soon as he comes off the screen, he looks at the basket, sees it's clear, and he's gone. You're not going to catch him.
Grizzly backcourt trying to guard Stoudemire much more closely in this half, but in that kind of play.
Well, again, if you watch, it's the fact that he hangs on to that ball. You never know when he's going to pick it up, and that makes him very difficult to stop. I know when I was talking to some of the players from the Lakers and Seattle, they were very concerned about the fact that, hey, you got to watch out because he hangs on to it for that one extra dribble, and he makes his play. And Alvin Robertson is getting called for trying to keep Chris King from getting the ball in the post area.
Third foul for Alvin Robertson. Second team foul, not a shooting situation until the fifth team foul. Bryant Reeves on the baseline, back to Derek Martin.
See, not a lot of movement for Vancouver right now. Everybody's standing around watching the ball. Oh my, Mobley.
Robertson dishes to Stoudemire.
A good defensive stand. Mobley went up for the dunk, got it blocked, and transition basketball for the Raptors. So always looking for the open man. #1 in the NBA in assists at almost 25 a game as a team.
18 for Stoudemire, 17-point Toronto lead, exactly where they'd like to have the Grizzlies at this point.
Again, you have to, if you're a Vancouver Grizzly, you're not going to give up hope. You're going to keep playing. One, there's a lot of time left in the game, and two, Toronto has given up leads.
Last time we were here, as Byron Scott checks in the game, the Minnesota Timberwolves had a big lead. The Grizzlies fought back and eventually won in a thrilling overtime game. That was their second win. They haven't won since then. 17 straight losses, looking to break the streak tonight. Lou Edwards for three.
Lou Edwards again, he's feeling his rhythm. He looks good on his release. One other thing we have to look for, Rod, going in to the fourth quarter. If Vancouver is down going into the fourth quarter, they're 0-13.
Pretty daunting statistic, that one. Damon Stoudemire moving closer to the triple-double, meaning you're getting double figures in 3 offensive categories.
Well, not only has he had the triple-double, but he's had 11 double-doubles in points and assists.
I should say 3 categories, really, because steals can come into play too. His teammate Alvin Robertson once had one of the rare quadruple doubles in the NBA. There's Martin.
That is very rare. And Damon Stoudemire that time trying to stay with Derek Martin, who kind of showed Damon a little bit of his own tricks, that time hanging onto the ball, a little hesitation, and then going baseline. What Toronto has done at this point is the crowd is fairly quiet here at GM Place, and that was something that Brendan Malone talked about, is to get the crowd out of the game as early as possible.
Bryant Reeves comes back and they have a fresh 24 seconds. Blue Edwards looks to launch another one. Baseline jump shot. Will it go? No, there's Reeves again, and Alvin Robertson once more leading the break for the Raptors. Willie Anderson.
And the Grizzlies can't buy a bucket. They're just not finding the net.
Just over 2.5 minutes left in the third quarter. 72-56. Biggest lead of the ball game for the Raptors. 2:34 left in the third quarter. A reminder that this program is authorized under rights granted by the National Basketball Association solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Basketball Association is prohibited. 72-56. The Vancouver Grizzlies trying to end a 17-game losing slide. The Toronto Raptors trying to end a 4-game losing slump. They've also lost 6 straight on the road, including 3 on this current Western swing. Let's catch up with Rob Faulds. Rob?
Gentlemen, during the timeout, there was an ice pack on Oliver Miller's right hand, on the top of his hand throughout. He's signaled to the trainer, John Lally, about it, and he kept it on for the entire timeout. We'll have to watch exactly what it does to his shooting.
All right, Robbie.
Rod, looking at some of the statistics here, it's easy to see what is happening with Vancouver. They're just not able to find the basket. They're only shooting 35%. Toronto is turning right around, not giving them second opportunities. Toronto, which was down in the rebound column in the first half, has taken the lead on the boards, and they've also turned that into transition baskets, and they're shooting 64% here in the third quarter.
Damon Stoudemire, the foul. Second of the game for Stoudemire.
Whenever you're getting out in transition, getting good baskets in the open court, obviously your percentages go up. And again, Toronto not giving up any second shot opportunities to the Grizzlies.
Anderson again tries the baseline, brings it back out for Robertson to Stoudemire. With the crowd, steal by Scott.
Stoudemire left his feet. You never want to leave your feet when you're a passer. You're going to commit yourself, and you can't make up for it.
Derek Martin missed. Ryan Reeves missed too. Nothing going the way for the Vancouver Grizzlies right now.
Exactly. They're getting good looks. They're getting some good shot opportunities. They're getting some taps at the basket, but they're not able to capitalize. There's a lid on the basket for the Grizzlies right now.
Just over 90 seconds remaining in the third quarter. 8 on the shot clock. Stoudemire looked to take it, but Anderson for Robertson. And there's Mobley with the rebound. Martin now trying to get something going for the home side.
Derek Martin really is putting in some minutes here. It turns out that Greg Anthony is really hurting, and Brian Winters is searching for somebody that can get it done for him right now. And Brian Reeves is working very hard himself down low, doing a good job.
Drawing the foul, and he will go to the line.
Now, one thing when you're watching Bryant Reeves, big country, you don't expect him to come in and dominate a game. That's not going to happen right now, but I'm very impressed with what he's doing. He's moving much better because he's in better shape. Remember, Brian Winters was telling us when we came here for the opener, he was talking a lot about the fact that Brian Winters has to get in shape. If he gets in shape, I'll give him more minutes. And Brian has responded. He's worked hard, and it's showing. When you don't get tired, you're able to have, your legs are stronger, you're able to power up and make good moves around the bucket.
You have to like the attitude of the Oklahoma State Cowboy.
That was the attitude he had his entire college career. He came into college and a lot of people said, hey, you're never going to play here. He ends up being a great college player, and now he's starting out with that same type of attitude here in the NBA.
A minute left now, third quarter. 17 points.
And that's a shot Brendan Malone does not like to see on the first option down court. John Tabak pulling up for a 17-footer.
Martin back to Edwards. Scott looks for the shot.
That ball just does not want to go in. It was, that ball could not have been in the basket any further than it was, but it just climbed back out.
30 seconds left. Raptors could get 2 shots before the half, before the end of the third quarter. Stoudemire takes the shot clock down to 4. And he buries it again.
Stoudemire so quick. He went right at Byron Scott, forced him to back up, and just pulled his dribble back and calmly sank it.
22 for Stoudemire. Final shot now for the Grizzlies before the buzzer. Martin spinning to Bryant Reeves at the elbow.
Again, in and out.
Damon Stoudemire, 22 points, 7 rebounds and 8 assists. They can't stop him. They cannot stop the Raptors. The Vancouver Grizzlies have a lot of work to do to get back in this ball game. Down 76-57 after 3 quarters of play in General Motors Place in Vancouver.
Who wants to be the sun face of the game tonight?
Toronto Raptors leading the Vancouver Grizzlies 76-57 as we get ready for the fourth quarter. Let's join John McKeechee.
All right, Rod. Well, when Coach Winters took out Greg Anthony, he didn't want to come out. He said, I'm all right, Coach, I'm all right. Of course, they subbed in for Derek Martin. And you begin to wonder whether it's one of 2 things. Either he's trying to save Anthony for a fourth quarter run, which is what, of course, Coach Malone doesn't want from Toronto's standpoint. He wants to keep them and the crowd out of it. Or maybe he's aware of the fact that Martin's the guy that sniffed Damon Stoudemire in Arizona when they stopped him on Winnie Street back in university days.
Greg Anthony only 4 points. 20 minutes of play. He got the first basket of the night for the Grizzlies and then took a long time to get his next one. Eric Murdoch in the game for Vancouver now. Recently acquired in the trade with Eric Mobley. and Milwaukee, which sent Benoit Benjamin the other way.
And we see Brian Winters searching for something to do right now, playing both Eric Murdoch and Derek Martin on the court at the same time, trying to get some quickness, maybe some transition opportunities, and also pick things up defensively.
In the last 4 games, the Grizzlies averaged 30.3 points in the third quarter. Tonight, only 16 points, and they find themselves trailing by 19.
And a good drive by Martin, going around the defense and stretching to the hoop with the left hand. And you see Byron Scott and Derek Martin now both picking up, applying some full court pressure, trying to get themselves back into this ball game.
Lob pass for Robertson, and there is a goaltending call on Mobley.
And that was a good look by Anderson. Robertson had Eric Murdoch, who's shorter, in the post, and Anderson put that pass right on the money.
15 for Robertson. Reeves again underneath. Will it go for him this time? It does.
Big Country lost it, but he regained the ball, took it to the other side, showing a little quickness against Oliver Miller.
16 points for Big Country.
And the foul is going against
Eric Murdoch, it looks like, for a hold.
Now Vancouver is shooting 33% for the game so far, and their worst shooting game of the year at home is 33%.
This is their first time this year that they've had back-to-back home games, and that could contribute to a long losing streak too, can't it? When you're away from home for a long time.
Well, they want, I mean, that's what you want to do, be able to get in your own gym and play back-to-back home games, and it's a situation they hope to capitalize on. But Toronto coming in hungry after picking up 4 straight losses themselves.
Scott for 3. There's Martin with the rebound. Tries it again. Doesn't go, but he is fouled.
Jean Tabak picking up the foul. Martin aggressively challenging Tabak, going right at him. But you have to sympathize for the Grizzlies. Shots that they normally make are just not dropping right now, and that's 5 fouls on Jean Tabak, which will bring Ed Pickney back into the game.
1 more, and Tabak would be leaving for good. But he will be sitting down. Perhaps we'll see him later in the game. But Tabak in some foul trouble. You've had to say that a lot this year, John Tabak.
John Tabak has struggled. Some bad decisions on fouls. He's kept him out of the game quite a bit, and he's also had some sparkling moments. He's a very interesting player. They played Houston in a tremendous game at the Sky Dome. Jean Tabak had 20 points, 15 rebounds, both career highs against Akeem Olajuwon, of all people.
His
but
former
then sometimes,
teammate.
Exactly, former teammate he will learn quite a bit from, but then other times he disappears. And it's a situation where Jean Tabak has to learn to mentally prepare, try to stay out of foul trouble, and be as aggressive as he was against his former teammate.
78-62, shot clock's at 5. Anderson takes a look and then drives. The running hook shot from Willie Anderson.
Willie Anderson not showing many signs of the bad ankles. Struggled early on the West Coast trip with injuries to both ankles.
16 points for Willie. Eric Murdoch inside to Reeves, puts it on the floor, back to Murdoch, who launches a 3, and it doesn't go. Another whistle, and it goes the other way.
We're getting a 3-second call. Alvin Robertson, you cannot stay inside the key for 3 seconds, and Alvin Robertson that time parked himself in the lane. Now, one of the things that when you look at the team Toronto has out there right now, this is a pretty good rebounding team. These guys go after the basketball. They work very hard for a team that's not that tall.
Reeves again, the hook shot, and he has a left-handed hook.
Gave it that little fake to the baseline side, came right around with the left to the middle for his 18th point.
He had his career high against Detroit, 19 on Thursday.
I'm a little surprised that we're not seeing the other rookie on the Vancouver Grizzly team, Lawrence Moten. Now, Oliver Miller picking up his fourth personal on a play that what we saw in the first half that we showed on the telestrator, the moving screen, trying to free up the shooters.
Damon Stoudemire will take a seat. So will Oliver Miller, and into the game AC Earl and Tracy Murray.
But getting back to Lawrence Moten, there's a guy that I think has a lot of offensive abilities. He can provide for this team. Just hasn't seen a lot of floor time, or it's been inconsistent floor time. Sometimes he plays more than others, but there's a guy that you might want to say, hey, let's give him some time. Let's let him develop, much like Brian Big Country is developing right now.
And he just happens to be from Syracuse.
Okay, well, that's a small point. But again, I've watched him play throughout his college career, and I really am impressed with his offensive game. Obviously, there's adjustments defensively, but I think he can offer definitely some pluses to this team.
Anderson back the other way. Ed Pinckney way up high. AC Earl battling with Mobley. Earl comes up, tries to set a screen, doesn't. There's Earl. Hands off to Anderson. That one doesn't fall. 80-64. Scott for three.
And Byron Scott, that's his 10th point. Only shooting 4 of 15 from the field.
If he can get the percentage up and get a few more of those, the Grizzlies may be able to evaporate this lead, but it's a big lead still for the Raptors in Vancouver. Brian Winters finding his Vancouver Grizzlies trailing 80-67, just over 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. In the East versus West, the first meeting between the two Canadian expansion teams.
Now 13 points with just under 8 minutes to go is not a lot. And Vancouver has to realize they can get back into this game. And this is where Brendan Malone becomes very concerned for the Toronto Raptors. He says he wants his team to become more aware of time and score, to make good decisions. And so far tonight, they have made pretty good decisions in transition and their shot selection. And there's a guy who made that shot, Tracy Murray, that has been pretty quiet tonight, but if he gets going, watch out.
Murray had 28 points against the Blazers. And a great running left-handed hook shot by Derek Martin.
Well, you have to like what you're saying from Derek Martin. He has not given up in this ball game. He's continued to battle, fighting his way in there, working hard, driving the ball to the hoop. That's 9 points and 3 assists for Derek Martin.
Willie Anderson handling the point guard duties with Damon Stoudemire. Resting on the bench, Ed Pinckney, Tracy Murray. Inside to Anderson with the fadeaway.
Now, when Willie Anderson does play point guard, they like to drop him into the post because at 6'8", he has the height advantage and he has a nice little turnaround jumper under the basket. But I've noticed that when Willie Anderson does play point guard, his production goes down because he's concerned with handling the ball and taking care of the ball, and it takes away from his scoring and offensive game.
Byron Scott tried to force it, didn't work. Here's Murray into the paint.
Oh my!
Tracy Murray
with the left hand down the middle. And he's got the scowl to back it up right now.
He can hit them from long range and short range. There's Mobley.
Watch out. Oh, I thought that was going to come right back with the dunk, but Mobley answering with the power move himself.
Derek Martin ran into Alvin Robertson.
Hard screen.
A 15-point lead. Pinckney. Shot clock coming down to 5 seconds. Anderson bounce pass out. Mobley. Back to Eric Murdoch, who will wait for his teammates, or will he? To Mobley, the lob pass, and it goes the other way. Offensive foul on Eric Murdoch.
And tough break for the Grizzlies. The crowd not liking the call. Brian Winters obviously not liking what's happening out here.
Lou Edwards checks into the game. He's the only Grizzly shooting above 50% with 19 points in the ball game. So they hope to get some of his magic back into this run. Murray. Air ball there.
Murray never got his feet set. He came off the screen. He was fading. His feet were pointed off to the side. You got to square up, turn your toes to the bucket, and you'll make that shot.
5.5 minutes left, fourth quarter. Avent to Mobley, and he was hacked.
Now, Mobley, one thing he did when he caught that ball, he made sure he put both hands on it and swung it right through the middle, because Willie Anderson was reaching and grabbing for the ball as he was coming through, and that's his third foul. Second foul make that on Willie Anderson.
Well, this is about the time that the Grizzlies need to make a run, though, Leo. I mean, 5.5 minutes, down by 15. You got to get the crowd back into it, too.
There needs something to happen. Obviously, getting a dunk, a couple of steals, you have to make things happen. It has to happen defensively. You have to make a stand. So far, they haven't been able to stop Toronto, who's been moving the ball very well and getting good scoring opportunities.
It's funny, on the floor, Eric Mobley, Derek Martin, Anthony Avent, and Eric Murdoch, 4 players who Brian Winters did not have around a month ago.
Exactly. We talk about the importance of the Naismith Cup game. Well, only one player on the floor was in that game, and that's Blue Edwards.
Anderson finds Murray. There's a steal by Eric Murdoch.
Eric Murdoch, he has the quick hands. Not great foot speed, but very quick hands. And right now, the Grizzlies have to get up, pressure, and try to create some more steals.
Damon Stoudemire getting ready to come back in the game. Anderson goes baseline. The Grizzlies trying to capitalize with Willie Anderson in there at the point. But here comes Damon.
Good move. Brennan Malone putting Damon Stoudemire back in the game, and he's also going to insert Oliver Miller back into the game for the shot blocking presence. And that shot blocking has been effective today, with Toronto 6 blocks to 0 for the Grizzlies.
Oliver Miller hands it off to Damon. Stoudemire watched by 2 players now. The double team on Stoudemire, and it works for the Grizzlies, who hang on to it. Up court for Edwards, and it's out of bounds.
And a tough break. You're not going to get back into it by rushing. You want to get the ball and capitalize on every single possession.
Brendan Malone calls the timeout now. 86-73. 4.5 minutes left. The GM plays. The Grizzlies trying to get back in the ballgame. To a quiet GM place. Damon Stoudemire hasn't been quiet for the Toronto Raptors, though. He's off the bench, and he leads the way with 22 points, 7 rebounds, 37 minutes of action so far. 13-point Toronto lead. The Vancouver Grizzlies, with a loss tonight, could set a new expansion team record for most consecutive losses. Willie Anderson finds Oliver Miller, who gives it right back to Anderson. To Oliver, looks inside for Alvin Robertson. Stolen.
And again, Murdoch with those quick hands, stripping Robertson.
All the way, Anthony Avent tried the tip. There's Mobley.
And Mobley has to be careful. He's hot at the officials right now. And I'll tell you what, it definitely looked like he got hacked down low. Mobley tried to power up, and the ball was just stripped away from his arms.
The Raptors have committed 7 turnovers this quarter, but it hasn't gone the Grizzlies' way in terms of capitalizing on them.
And there's a veteran move right there. Alvin Robertson released on the shot. Down court, a long rebound came out, and that's 17 points for Alvin Robertson.
3 minutes and 45 seconds remaining, fourth quarter. Now a 15-point Toronto lead. Avent.
And nobody was there. Mobley backtrack down court. None of the Grizzlies went in for the rebound. Avent went up to shoot. Nobody backed him up.
Raptors now using up the clock. Stoudemire will bring the shot clock down. It's at 5 right now. Finds Oliver.
And a good look by Stoudemire, attracting the defense. He always has his eyes open, and one of his favorite targets is Oliver Miller, because Oliver Miller is always looking for the ball. He's got great hands. He can catch the ball in traffic, and Stoudemire doing a great job of recognizing the open man. One of the things that's interesting to note, Rod, Damon Stoudemire's averaging about 40 minutes a game. If he continues at this pace throughout the rest of the season, he would play the 10th most minutes played of any rookie in NBA history. And if you look at that, there's some big names in there. Will Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, the old Lou Alcindor, presently the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robertson, Jerry Lucas. I mean, the list is some heavy-duty names in that list. So,
well, already he's making a name for himself. Hard to believe that he was booed on draft day, and he's turned those jeers to cheers in Toronto.
Well, a lot of that, Rod, is people in Toronto are exposed to as much college basketball, U.S. college basketball. They all heard of Ed O'Bannon and Big Country because of the NCAA playoffs, but not many people really knew enough about Damon Stoudemire to pass judgment.
Isaiah Thomas did.
And he's letting people know.
The jumper for Stoudemire. There is his 24th point of the game.
To go along with his 7 boards and 8 assists.
91-73. Under 2.5 minutes left, and it looks like the Grizzlies are going to be in the record books alone for most consecutive losses by an expansion team. Avent out to Murdoch, drives the paint, and it still doesn't go. They just haven't been able to find the touch, the Grizzlies. Ed Pinckney has been a force. The ball knocked away, and Raptors maintain possession. Brian Winters, what goes through his head? The other day we were talking with him, and John McKeechee asked him if he was sleeping at night. He says, oh yeah, I have no problem sleeping. Asked him if he takes it home with him. He says, well, I do take it home with me. I'm frustrated a bit, but then I see the smile on my young boy and it goes away. But still, it is frustrating, and it's frustrating for the fans too. Let's compare the 2 expansion teams. Obviously the Raptors are the better team right now, today. What about tomorrow and the years down the road? The Grizzlies obviously had a different thought process when manufacturing their team.
Well, that's just it, but it's unfair to pass judgment right now. Toronto has their way of doing it. They went out very aggressively, tried to build a team and a championship team as fast as they can. That's their goal. Vancouver has been much more thoughtful in terms of they were going a little slower, trying to do things a little bit more methodical, and nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. Time will tell 2, 3, 4 years down the road, but I think both teams have a plan in mind. Both teams have a direction they know they want to go in, and it's a question of sticking to that game plan.
There will be no triple-double for Damon Stoudemire. He will leave the game with 24 points, however, as Jimmy King comes off the bench to play this one out. Just over a minute left. It's 91-73 Toronto. Derek Martin doesn't give up.
No, I like what I've seen from Derek Martin. He has battled an entire night, going to the basket, looking to create, looking to do a lot of different things on the court in the absence of Greg Anthony.
The Grizzlies will get better too when Antonio Harvey is healthier, Kenny Gaddison is healthier,
exactly,
and Gerald Wilkins comes in the lineup.
Sure, Kenny Gaddison is a very solid basketball player, and having him out of the game definitely hurts. And Gerald Wilkins, we haven't seen at all. This guy can score. He can get up and down the court. So here's a guy you really like to see in the lineup as soon as possible if you're Vancouver. You look at a game like tonight, there's not a lot of things. I mean, they did a lot of things pretty good. The one big problem is they couldn't buy a basket. They're shooting horribly from the field. And when you're shooting 35% from the field, you're not going to win a lot of ball games.
Well, as Greg Anthony said to us too, he told us that they don't really have a go-to guy right now, and they need one. Robertson to Miller.
Well, that's the one thing that people forget about when you're picking up expansion players. Teams are not giving up go-to guys. They're hard to come by. When you have one, you're not going to let them go. And Willie Anderson, like in the call, Blue Edwards slapped at the basketball, but Willie getting called for double dribble as we get a look at Kenny Gaddison sitting nearby. Country Reeves.
Dower looks on the Grizzly bench. Just over 30 seconds left now. The Toronto Raptors will end as Blue Edwards lays it off the glass. A 4-game losing streak and their first win on the road after 6 consecutive losses and 3 straight losses on this Western road trip. Get ready to play Boston on Tuesday night at home, and the Vancouver Grizzlies hoping to someday soon end this long stretch of futility.
Well, Blue Edwards solid in defeat tonight. 23 points, 6 rebounds. And how about Ed Pinckney? A quiet 12 points, 16 boards, and that ties his career record, and it's a new record here at GM Place for an opponent.
Well, Brendan Malone thought this would be a tight, hotly contested game, but this one fizzled because his team sizzled. Brian Winter's Vancouver Grizzlies have now lost 18 straight games. That's a new expansion record. The final score, 93-81 Toronto. Leo Damon Stoudemire, the star again for the